I'm a little bit camera shy because coming from a third world country, I was a little bit timid. Filipinos tend to be shy. And it's probably like has something to do with my vision. I could only actually just kind of look where it's at, but not actually know where it's at. But, you know, as time passes by, you get older. I'm just like, nah, who cares? I'm over being cool, you know? You know, when you're younger, it's all about being cool. And I mean, it's just in my nature. I'm just shy. My name is Apple Diap from the Black Eyed Peas, and I'm a music artist. My stage name is just my initials. My whole name is Alan Pineda Lindo. So when we're trying to come up with our names, I was like, APL, Apple. And De means from, right? And I'm from Angeles, Pampanga, from the Philippines, so Apple Diap. I was born in Angeles City, Philippines, in a province of Sabang Bato. My dad was African American. He was in the U.S. Air Force. They were stationed in the Philippines. And met my mother. My mom's Filipina. I was raised by my mom, by a single mother. I have 6 siblings. Actually, 2 of my brothers passed away, so I only got 2 brothers and 2 sisters left. And we grew up pretty poor, you know. I remember farming with my grandfather, riding water buffaloes and taking off grass off the sweet potatoes and corns. But it was happy, you know. My mom was such a strong woman that it didn't feel like we were poor, but it was a lot of joy in that hardship, you know. You know, those programs, hey, send 25 cents a day to a kid in a third world country in Philippines. So my mother signed me up in this foundation called Pearless Buck. They send you school supplies and clothing and stuff like that. So, and what you do in return is you write a letter to your sponsors. I used to show them my grades. I used to tell them I got this rare eye condition called nystagmus. You know, I had a hard time in school back in the days because I couldn't see the blackboard. So he wanted physicians or optometrists to look at my eyes from the U.S. So, and that's how the adoption sparked, you know. I was at age 14 when I first got to the U.S. It was definitely a culture shock. A kid from the Philippines that used to run around the mountains, and now I'm in this big city, thousands and thousands of miles away from my family. So it was a culture shock. And a month later, I was starting to get homesick. And I remember coming up to my sponsor, my dad. His name is Joben Hudgens. Really the nicest guy I've ever met in my life. And I was like, Dad, can you send me home now, you know, because I really miss my family. And you know, it's like, oh, son, it's too late now, you know, the papers are finished and you're here to stay now, you know. And I just remembered really, you know, crying and really homesick. And yeah, that's how I felt the first time I got here. Being adopted from the Philippines, Los Feliz area, Atwater is where I first landed. It's important for me to be in this neighborhood because, you know, I grew up here. It's about me being with my impaired. It's all about memorizations, you know. I memorize the whole neighborhood. I know where all the stoplights is at, and I could see well enough till I get in an accident or anything, you know. My adopted father was roommate with Will's uncle. On the weekdays, my dad needed to go to work. So Will's uncle was like, oh, you know, Deborah could take care of Alan while you go to work. And Deborah is Will's mom. And I remember the first day I was there, she made Will stay home from school. That's how we met. I was very timid, and I stayed on the couch for like 8 hours without, you know, saying anything. I remember he opened up the conversation was like, what do you guys do in Philippines? And I was like, I break dance, but I learned this new dance move called the running man. you know? So I started doing the Running Man, and I guess I was doing it kind of funny. And Will started laughing at me. You know, we became best friends, and everything else is history from there. I went to elementary in the province of Philippines, and when I went to high school, I had to go to the city. I had to commute from Sapang Bato to Angeles about, I don't know, an hour. And I would see these kids like breakdancing in a street corner. I was like, oh, wow, what is that, you know? I want to do that. I want to learn that, you know? That's my initial spark with music. I wanted to be a nurse or an engineer, you know? But then I was like, damn, you know, how am I going to be able to do this? I got an eye problem, you know? I don't want to giving shots and accidentally, like, shoot the vein or something, you know? And then when I stumbled in the breakdancing and music, I was like, I could do this. You know, I don't need my vision that much. I could see the floor. I could do backflips on the floor. I don't need to see that far. That's when I knew that was my calling. You know, it didn't come overnight. It took us about, I don't know, 7 years to even get a record deal. Since my dad brought me to the U.S. to have an education, and I didn't want to fail him, you know? I had to prove to him that music is gonna give me a career. The way I infused my culture into the music is actually, I just mess around in the studio. I tell Will, check it out. I wrote in Tagalog, you know? He was like, oh, that's dope. You should put that in the album for the Filipinos, for your culture. I was like, really? I was like, you guys would let me do that? You know? They're like, yeah, man. You should represent your culture and stuff. I was like, all right. Thank you for coming. So since you came over, I'm gonna make something, you know, to bring you back home.
I like that.
And I'm gonna cook chicken adobo. I never forgot where I came from. I'm proud of who I am. I think that's what makes me who I am now. You know, my connection to the Philippines is my family.
So what's different about your mom's adobo? Because my dad doesn't use that. He uses something else. He uses, well, I can't give up that secret, but...
Secret. And now I'm in one of the biggest group of Black Eyed Peas, so it's important for me to give back to my community, especially in the Philippines, because I'm one of those kids who used to run around. I was given the opportunity, I was adopted to pursue my dreams, and now I have the power to make some changes and make it a better world. I built a school in the Philippines. I built a computer lab, especially for kids that can't afford to go to a private school and access computers. So I gave them music programs, editing programs, media programs. So, you know, I want them to compete with the world, with other kids out there that have the opportunity. And you never know, you know, you might find the next Black Eyed Peas out there. You know, Asian people are shy. We like to do the foundation work, the behind-the-scenes thing. But, you know, it's time for us to express culturally and who you are, you know, and in the forefront, too.
Some potatoes that you nicely cut up.
That is good.
Man, who cooked this, man?
Now I need to pull out that energy and that, you know, that confidence to let people know who I am.
Are y'all having a good time?
Muy obrigado, Rio.